Salvete discipuli. Let's translate another sentence from English into Latin. Again, we do this so that we can practice the skills of Latin grammar and English grammar because it's just, even though Latin is a language that is not spoken anymore, it's not generally used to communicate anymore, understanding how to put English into Latin makes it a lot easier to take Latin and turn it into English. How to, learning how to compose Latin helps you translate Latin. So first things first, we're going to take our sentence here. The sentence we're going to start with, we will overcome by means of which virtues in which places. So we have a question. First thing we're going to do is mark our parts of speech, okay? We'll start with doing kind of a English parts of speech because there are some things in here that would be condensed together in Latin, like we will overcome. That will be condensed together. Okay, so we, this is a pronoun, first person plural pronoun. Will overcome, this is a verb. Okay, by means of which virtues. This whole thing right here, by means of which, and of course virtues here, that's going to all go together when we get to the Latin portion. By right here, this is a preposition. By means of, we're going to take by means of, this whole thing is kind of a preposition. Okay, which this is either going to be a relative pronoun or an interrogative adjective or an interrogative pronoun. Virtues, that's definitely a noun. In, this is preposition. And which, again, this is going to be a relative pronoun, or it's going to be an interrogative adjective / pronoun. And places, that's another noun. Okay? So right here we have we will overcome. I'm going to start with doing finding our verbs and working on those first. So we'll start with this little section right here. So we does not need to be explicitly stated in a sentence in Latin because Latin contains that within the verb itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab a fresh piece of paper here and let's conjugate a verb for overcome. Set that aside for right now. Okay, so we need a verb for overcome. And for that, I think we'll use the verb supero, superare. So I'll go ahead and put that up here, each principal part. So we start with our first principal part, supero. Okay, first principal part, remember, is always the first person singular, present active indicative form. So I overcome, superare. That second principal part is the present active, let me just do that, there we go. The present active stem or the present active infinitive, to overcome. The third principal part, superavi. Third principal part, remember, is the first person perfect active indicative form. I overcame, so perfect, remember, that is a completed action. And then the fourth principal part is superatum. This is the participial stem at the end. So this would be the perfect, perfect passive participle. The tells you that it would be neuter, so like having been overcome. So this means to overcome. Okay, and what conjugation is this? We find our conjugation by looking at the first principal part. The end of the first principal part ends in O. And the second principal part, our terminal phrase here, A-R-E. O and A-R-E, that is a first conjugation. Okay, so currently we're still working in the present system. Remember, present system is present tense, imperfect tense, and future tense. It's called the present system because it uses the present active infinitive, okay, the present stem. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a present chart. Might just need to make a little chart for all these, so I can just erase and then come back over so I don't have to write it out every time. Then you don't get to see me write far too small. That's gonna be way too small. Oh goodness. Far too small for the word I have. Okay, so there's singular and there's plural. We have imperfect. 1, 2, 3. Well, I didn't leave myself anywhere to write. Ack. Put imperfect up here. Oh, so messy. Oh well. Okay. Singular. And then here's plural. We have a little bit of room down here for future. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we can see that. Oh, straight-ish lines today, not the worst. I've definitely done worse. Okay, so first thing is first. All three of these tenses, present, imperfect, and future, they'll all use the same stem. So for finding the stem, we go to our second principal part and we eliminate the terminus here, the ARE, that's our terminus. We eliminate that. So super is the stem for everything. So let's start with our stem, super. And super goes everywhere. Super, 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 super. Ooh, is this going to become one of those things where I say super so many times that like it kind of loses meaning? You don't understand the word anymore. Super, 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 super. I definitely didn't leave myself enough room in imperfect. Oh boy. Try and fix that mistake in future tense here. Darn you, tense indicators taking up all the room. Super, super. Okay, great. So we've got the stem down in all of them. So because we are in first conjugation, the thematic vowel, so that's the vowel here before your terminal RE, stays the same throughout the entire system. So we'll just go like that. So that's our stem, our thematic vowel, A here. So A, everywhere, A. Well, except for first person singular. Got a little over eager there. First person singular doesn't get a thematic vowel. Its form is already up there. Okay. Everything else gets the A though. Supera, supera, supera. Supera, 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 supera. Great. Okay, so everything has its thematic vowel. What's next? What's next is for present are personal endings. Okay, so for the first person singular, it's already given to us right here. Oh, okay. So supero, I overcome. What's the personal ending for second person singular? S. So superas, you overcome. Third person singular, superat, it overcomes. First person plural, mus, we overcome. Second person plural, tis, y'all overcome. Third person plural, nt, superant, they overcome. Supero, I will overcome. Superas, you overcome, I overcome, you overcome. Superat, it overcomes. Superamus, we overcome. Superatus, y'all overcome. Superant, they overcome. Excellent. All done with present. So there's something extra we need to add for imperfect and future. Imperfect has a tense indicator, BA. Okay, so superba, 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 superba. Future also has a tense indicator. For first person singular, it's BO, and we're gonna go ahead and purple up that O a little bit too, because that's also the personal ending for first person singular in the future. So it's BO in the first person singular only, BI in second person singular, BI in third person singular, BI in first person plural, BI in second person plural, and then BU in third person plural. So we've got our, so it's BO, BI, and BU for the tense indicators. But remember, that's only for first conjugation and second conjugation. Third conjugation and fourth conjugation, third IO as well, do not use a tense indicator in the future. Everybody uses a tense indicator in imperfect though. Imperfect is easy breezy lemon squeezy. So we've got our tense indicator there. Now we can go ahead and throw in our personal endings. So for first person singular in imperfect, we have M, superabam. I was overcoming or I used to overcome. For second person singular, superabas. You were overcoming, you used to overcome. Third person singular, supera, tack a T at the end, superabat. He was overcoming, he used to overcome. First person plural, personal ending, mus, superabamus. We were overcoming, we used to overcome. Second person singular, or second person plural, sorry, tis, superabatis. Y'all were overcoming, y'all used to overcome. And then third person, plural, NT, superabant. They were overcoming, they used to overcome. All right, personal endings in the future. Bo here for first person singular, superabo, I will overcome. Second person singular, S, superabis, you will overcome. Third person singular, T, superabit, she will overcome. First person plural, mus, superabimus, we will overcome. Second person plural, tis, y'all will overcome. Third person plural, superabunt, they will overcome. Okay, so we have it conjugated. We have this verb conjugated in first person, second person, third person, singular and plural in the present, imperfect, in future. And I will, or I overcome, I was overcoming, I used to overcome, I will overcome. Which is it that we need for this sentence? We will overcome. So this is, we is a first person. That is a plural. Okay, so we need a first person plural. And, whoops, also it's in the future. Okay, first person plural in the future. Present, nope, we don't need you. Imperfect, nope, we don't need it. Future, yes. We need first person, singular, no. Plural, yes. Superabimus. Okay, so let's toss that on here. Superabimus. Okay. So we will overcome. There's our verb. Excellent. That's a big chunk that we took care of with one longish word here. Nice. Okay, so what we have next, by means of which, this can all be taken together. We have two different things here, by means of which virtues. I'm gonna put these into two different things here. We have a question mark at the end, so that indicates to me that we are going to need an interrogative. Okay, we're gonna need an interrogative pronoun. this right here, which can serve as that interrogative pronoun for us. It's asking the question, which places? More specifically, with its little preposition here, it's asking in which places, okay? So when we think about cases, like noun cases that we need to use, in which places? This is asking us for a location. And when we have something in a location, within something, on top of something, we need to use the ablative. The ablative is the case that we use for place within which or place which, okay? So that's what we have going on here. We have an ablative. We're telling ablative, place, literally saying place where, place which, place where, okay? And what also kind of indicates to us that we need an ablative is this preposition right here, in. That only goes with the accusative or the ablative. We know that we aren't going to need the ablative or the accusative here because there's no motion towards something. If we had a verb that was asking us, or that was a motion toward movement to something, then we would assume this to, not assume it to, but maybe question whether or not that would need to be an accusative or an ablative. As it stands right now here, we have no verb of motion here toward or anything like that. So we need to take this as place inside of something. Okay, so it's asking in which places. We can just go ahead and use again, which is great. It's a word that crosses over from English to Latin. Doesn't change, which is awesome. So which, we need to make a chart again for our relative and our interrogative. We'll start with our interrogative because, you know, we have an interrogative right here we need to look at. So let's slide this over real quick and make ourselves a chart. So for our relative, or not relative, sorry, dagnab, interrogative. We'll get to the relative. Calm down, Miss M. All right, interrogative. Interrogative, pronoun. Okay, so we will have singular on this side, plural on this side. We're going to have 3 columns in each because the pronoun slash adjective here has a masculine, feminine, and neuter form. So let's, adjective. Trying to move on to the next word before I finish the one that's already there. Classic. All right. So in our nominative, in our green, we're going to start with quis, masculine, quis. Lucky for us, the interrogative has a few fewer forms than the pronoun or the relative does here. So quis in the masculine. We'll toss a little m above that. And then again, quis in our feminine. And then in our neuter, we have quid. Toss a little n up there for neuter. Quis, quis, quid. Those are our nominatives. So who, which, what? Because interrogatives they're interrogating. They are question words. They're indicating a question, okay? So next, just like our relative, the genitive form is quis, and it's quis across the board. So quis, of whom, of which, of what? Quis, quis, or whose? Okay, so there's our genitive, singular. Next up, our dative singular. We'll do that in purple. So just like the relative pronoun, the dative form is qui across the board. Qui for the masculine, qui for the feminine, Qui for the neuter. So to whom, to what, to which, to fill in the blank. Okay. For accusative, we have quem for the masculine, quem, so whom, which, what in as a question, and then quid for the neuter accusative. In the ablative, we have quo in the masculine, a little over on that side. Sometimes quo in the feminine, sometimes qua in the feminine. You know, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other. There's no, on some charts for teaching, you will see just quo, but in text, sometimes you will see quo as qua, even though it's an interrogative. So either of those are really correct for feminine interrogative in the ablative. Okay, and then for neuter in the ablative, quo. So here are our singular interrogative pronouns in masculine, feminine, and neuter. Let's do plural. Plural nominative, pull out our green again. In the masculine plural, it looks the same as relative plural. So qui, whip out my black marker here to mark masculine. Okay. In the feminine, we've got qui, so it looks like the relative. And then again, in the neuter, we have qui. Didn't leave myself quite enough room for the next for genitive plural here, but I think it'll be okay because this pen has a sharper tip than the other, so hopefully I can make it work. The genitive plural is going to be the same as in the relative pronouns genitive plural. So quorum, quorum, quorum. In the dative, it's going to be quibus, quibus, across the board, quibus. And then in the accusative, we have same as the relative, quos, quas, and then the neuter repeats its nominative form, qui. Ablative, quibus, quibus, quibus. Okay, so here are our singular forms. And here are our plural forms. All right, so in this little clause right here, in which places? So we'll come to the noun for places here in a moment. So in which. So which and places need to be agreeing in their gender and their number here. So both of these are going to need to be plural. The noun that we're going to use for places is going to be masculine. So right here, in, we've already gotten taken care of. We need which, though. We need one of these interrogative pronouns. And we're going to need it masculine, and we're going to need it plural. So let's look at our chart. We don't need anything from our singular side. We need it from our plural. We need masculine plural. And we already said that this is going to be an ablative of place where. So we need to find an ablative form that is plural and masculine. Quibus is what we're going to use. So down here in quibus. So this is in which. Now what we need to do here, this whole thing is not just like is going to be ablative. It's an ablative of place where. It's not just the in which part right here. It's also going to include places. So let's go ahead and grab a new sheet to, I've got a verb or a noun for us, for places. We're going to go ahead and take this noun and we're going to decline it so that we know which noun it is or which form it is we need for the sentence. So the noun we're going to work with is a second declension masculine noun for places. It is locus, Loki. So it's masculine, second declension, okay? Masculine second declension noun. I guess we can put noun on there. So for place. So words like location derive from this noun here, locus, location. All right, so let's start with the nominative form, nominative singular form. It's given to us right up here, locus. So L-O-C-U-S, locus. The genitive singular form, Loki. Those are the two that are given to us. Locus, the place. Loki, the genitive singular of the place. Dative, loco, to, for the place. And the accusative, locum. So direct object, the place. And then our ablative, loco, by, with the place. Now that's our singular forms. Let's go to our plural forms. Because this is a second declension masculine, our ending is going to be I, Loki again. The places. The genitive plural, locorum, of the places. Okay, the dative plural, locis, to, for the places. The accusative plural, locos, so the direct object, the places. And then our ablative plural, locis, by, with the places. Okay, excellent. So which form do we need here? Let's look at our sentence once again to kind of remind us what form we need. In which places we need an ablative, because this is an ablative of place where, and we need a plural. So a plural ablative, locis, in quibus, locis. In which places? Actually, we could tack on a question mark there because that's part of the question. Okay, great. Now we only have one part left to do. By means of which virtues? Okay, so like this is kind of an interesting sentence because we have two different types of ablative phrases here. We have an ablative of place where, and then we have this cool thing, by means of which virtues. By means of here, of, it might indicate to you like, oh, of something, that's going to be a genitive. Good intuition, but this whole by means of, this is actually an ablative phrase. It's a usage of the ablative. It's an ablative of means instrument. Means / instrument. Okay, so what does that mean? Let's pull out another piece of paper here and let's chat about means instrument. Okay, so when you have an action in the sentence, your verb, we'll do a complete sentence here. I mowed the lawn. Okay, this sentence could stand on its own. That's a complete sentence, I, subject, verb, mowed, object, the lawn. Okay, so I mowed the lawn. And if I wanted to add more information to that sentence, I would say something like, I mowed the lawn with something, with a lawnmower. Okay, we all understand I mowed the lawn with a lawnmower. I subject verbed the object with another object. Okay, so another way to say with here would be by means of a lawnmower. So this is telling you by means of or with here, this use of the ablative and this little thing right here, this would be the ablative phrase by means of a lawnmower. That would be an example of an ablative of means or instrument. It is telling you how you accomplish the action of the sentence. By what means did I mow the lawn? Okay, so that is what an ablative, a means instrument is. It's telling you how the subject accomplished the action of the sentence. Okay. There's also things like mode and manner, and that's more like you think of like an adverb or something like that. This is specifically like if I am using tools to accomplish the action of the sentence, here are the tools. By means of these tools here, these means or these instruments helped me, or what I use to, complete the action of the sentence. Okay, so by means of, so this does not need to have anything else with it. We can use an ablative preposition, a, b, ob, or a, or we can just leave it in the ablative right here, either way. We're gonna go ahead, just because we're being very thorough, we're gonna go ahead and use a preposition here. Oh, wait, hang on. No, not preposition here. Sorry, we're just gonna use this in the ablative. If we used a preposition here like ob, it would be saying agent. I'm getting a little bit confused here. I got a couple things conflated. If we had, if this right here were a person, if this were like by means of which people, then we could use ob, because there's a thing called ablative of agent, which you use for living or animate things like people, animals, even plants. Inanimate things, virtues are inanimate, you don't need to use that preposition because that would be an agent. An inanimate thing cannot be an agent. It can be a means instrument. So we would have no preposition here. By means of would just be contained within the fact that these are ablatives right here. Okay. Glad I caught that one. All right. So we need to know, we already know that this is going to be ablative. Both of these are going to be ablative right here. But we need to know what gender they're going to be. We know they're going to be plural because virtues here is in the plural. We're going to need to use this here as a relative pronoun. Now, most of the time, relative pronoun, we're gonna need to have an antecedent, and it comes before. Sometimes the antecedent can be within the same clause as the relative pronoun, and that usually happens when you have questions like this. Okay, so it's not acting completely the same as a relative pronoun would act in just a statement. It acts a little bit differently because we're in a question. So we need to have, we need to make a chart for our relative pronouns. So let's grab this right here, a new sheet, and we'll make our relative pronoun sheet real quick. And then we'll look at virtue, the noun for virtue, and we'll decline that and we'll see which gender we need. And then we'll be able to grab, we'll be able to find which relative pronoun we need. Ooh, I need to switch my pen here. Goodness. Relative pronoun. All right. Ooh, that looks a little bit messy, but you know, que sera, sera, I suppose. I'm not going to make it any better. In fact, I'm probably just going to make it look messier, but you got to try, right? Okay, let's pull out our green for our nominative here. So I will make, there'll be two sections, singular, and then over here, plural. And then we'll have a column for masculine, feminine, and neuter. Masculine, feminine, neuter. So in the masculine, bleh, singular, in the relative pronoun, we have qui. Okay, qui, who, whom, who masculine. In the feminine, we have quai. And in the neuter, we have quad. Masculine, feminine, and neuter. Okay, let's look at our genitive. So genitive, just like the interrogative, is quius, of whom, a whole way through, across the board. Quius, quius, quius. And then we have dative. Qui, qui, qui. In our accusative, we have quem, quam, though I have seen quem before in the text referring to a feminine. So it's kind of like the quo, qua thing with the interrogatives. Sometimes you might see it. One, it's your text is not always going to be like 100% perfect grammar or spelling because it's written by people. And sometimes usages change. Like it starts one way and then over time, you know, the fashion is for it to change another way or the usage just changes because that's how language works. Even languages that are as old as Latin have changes in usage over time. Early Republic Latin is very, very different from late Imperial Latin. All right, so in the nominative accusative, you have a repetition of the nominative singular form here, so quad. And then in our ablative, we have quo, qua, and quo. So that is our messy singular. Oh no, is this pen just like gonna give up? I refuse, not allowed. Singular. Next, we're gonna go to our plural. So put a little M here. The plural relative pronoun for masculine here is just qui again. Plural feminine, same as singular. And then plural neuter is going to be quai as well. So qui, quai, quai. Masculine, feminine, neuter. Okay. For your genitive, quorum. For the feminine, quorum. And for the neuter, quorum. For the dative, oh, that looks like quid. That's an O, it's not a D. For the dative, quibus. And it's this for feminine and neuter as well. Quibus, quibus, quibus. Accusative, we're going to have quos, quos, quos. Kind of a spacey one there. And then in our ablative plural, quibus, quibus, quibus again. This one has a pretty flat tip here, so we'll see if I have enough room to put it all the way across. Oh, just barely. Hooray. Okay, plural. Okay, great, plural. Okay, let's go ahead and decline the noun I have for virtues really quickly, and then we'll come back to the relative pronouns to match it to the sentence. For our noun for virtue, we are going to use the word virtus, virtutis, which is a feminine third declension, okay? Virtus, virtutis. So we have something that might be a little bit confusing here, and that's the US. What you want to think from experience thus far is that US is going to be a second declension masculine form. However, it's not in this case. It is a third declension feminine form. So we've got a third declension feminine. Now, what do you do if you see this in the wild? Like, you're gonna think that it's a second declension masculine. Maybe experience and practice will help you to identify certain high frequency words. Also, you'll only think that if you see it really in the nominative singular form. The other forms don't look like second declension masculine other than the dative singular form. So you'll just have to keep a dictionary handy or practice your high frequency words. Okay, so it's a fem noun. And this does mean virtue. Okay, let's go ahead and decline it. So our nominative singular is given to us, virtus. Virtus. Our genitive singular is also given to us, virtutis. Our dative singular is virtuti. Accusative singular, we're in the third declension, virtutem. And then our ablative singular, virtute. Virtute. Nominative plural, virtutes. Genitive plural, virtutum. Virtutum. Dative plural, virtutibus. Accusative plural, virtutes. Remember, accusative plural is just a repeat of the nominative plural. And then the ablative plural, virtutibus. So virtue, virtues, of virtues, to for virtue, to for virtues, virtue as a direct object, virtues as direct object, by with virtue, by with virtues. Okay, so an ablative plural is going to be virtutibus. Okay, so that is going to be the form that we're going to need to use. I'm wondering if, can't think back that far. If I said that the noun was going to be a masculine, I might have, whoops. Hopefully I didn't, but if I did, I'm gonna go ahead and correct myself now. We just said that this noun right here is a feminine. So we're going to need a plural feminine form of the relative pronoun. So we'll pull out our chart. Plural. So don't need that side. Plural, feminine, ablative, quibus. Okay. Quibus. virtutibus. Okay, so now we've kind of got the parts, but now how do we assemble them together? Okay, so we have talked about Latin word order and English word order. So simple word order. So there are a couple things that we know. We're going to want to put superabimus, the verb, generally comes last. So that's going to be the last thing that we put on there. Oh, I forgot to write here. By means of which virtues. Okay, I just want to make sure that was on there. Yeah, so superabimus will need to come last because generally the verb comes last. In quibus locus ought to come first because it's telling you right away that this is going to be a question, which just means that this is going to come right after it. So our sentence will look like this. In quibus locus, give myself enough room here. No, I'm not going to fit that there. So quibus virtutibus. Here's my yellow. Oh no, where is my yellow? There it is. Okay. Superabimus. So this becomes in which places, by means of which virtues, will we overcome? If you look back at the original sentence, we will be overcome by means of which virtues in which places. Same thing, just a little bit of a different ordering because Latin is not coded English and English is not coded Latin. All right, so that's it for that sentence. Check back again and we'll do another sentence. It'll be super fun.